guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video, which, as you can see by the title, is another very unexpected one. I was not expecting to film this and I only found out about this a few days ago myself, so I have a very special mouse that I would like to introduce you to. So this is Winnie. She's a 2-year-old black and tan Texel and she's come to live here as her retirement home. So Winnie actually belonged to a family friend who had a group of mice, and she was unfortunately down to her last 2 mice, one of which unfortunately did have to be put to sleep due to a tumour, and that left Winnie living by herself, which is definitely not ideal. Even at her age, she still needs to have company. So she did send me a message and asked me what I thought she should do in the situation, and as a family they had decided not to own any more mice, which is fair enough, but that would mean Winnie living by herself, and rightfully so. She was worried that she would get lonely or depressed, and I said, you know what, I'll take her. I can either integrate her into the group or pair her off with one of the other girls, and that is what I plan on doing. I'm not too sure yet whether I'm going to do a full group introduction or just put her with one of the other mice, but regardless, we are going to get her some friends, and I think it's going to be a lot better for her than being by herself and being really confused and depressed. Hello, you're very cute. I got her in here just because she's not used to me yet. I have only had her for about a day and she is a little bit nippy, so I'm not going to stress her out too much. She is a bit stressed, obviously with the stress of coming to a new house and probably also the stress of losing her friend as well. So we are going to get that sorted and get her some company, and that is the reason she's come here as a retirement home, just to make sure she can have friends as she's meant to. So yeah, I just wanted to introduce you guys to Winnie and tell you a bit about her story. She is going to be in quarantine for about a week. I don't want to leave it too long, obviously, because it's not ideal for them to be alone, especially at this age. The stress of that can lower their immune system, but I just want to make sure that everything is okay with her before putting her in with any of the other mice. And I am also going to treat her for mites, so I'm going to do that in a second, just to make sure she doesn't have any parasites that could pass on to the other mice or anything. She is itching a little bit and she does have a bit of dandruff on her fur, so just to be safe, I'm going to do that and then wait a week to introduce her to the other mice just to be sure. So yeah, that is Winnie and Winnie's story. I'll give you guys a bit more of an update in about a week when I have more of an idea of what to do with her, but I was really happy to offer her a retirement home. I have the space, I have extra space for a few more mice, and I just wanted her to not be living by herself, so I'm really happy to offer her a home for however long that may be for the rest of her life. And I do get a few DMs from people that I don't know asking to take their rats or their mice, and I just don't have the capacity for it. If I could take in every single rat or mouse I was asked to, I would be completely overrun and I just don't have the space. So if you do have a rat or mouse that needs a home, please try to find your local rescue and they should be able to help you, but I don't really have the space to do this for every mouse. But Winnie, I was perfectly happy to help. Being that I know the family and the family friend, I was really happy to help in this situation, so I'll update you guys in a week or so and let you know how she's doing. So this video has taken a turn. I kind of recommend not watching any of the following clips if you're sensitive to pet death or the discussion of pet death, but I think it's important to carry on talking about this just because it is the reality of owning mice and small rodents. They do get things like this very, very easily, and I think it's important to be aware of that if you are going to own mice or rats. And I knew this when I took her on, that she wasn't going to live the longest life possible with me because she is already 2 years old. But I wasn't expecting her to possibly have that shortened as soon as I got her. I wasn't expecting that this soon, but that is the reality of owning rodents, and I was checking her over to make sure that everything was okay with her before introducing her, which I'll get onto in a second. I did decide what to kind of do in that situation. There is a fly. Please go away, this is a very serious topic. So I did make that decision to introduce her, which I'll talk about in a second, but I was checking her over just to make sure that everything was okay. Oh my god, this fly, can you not? Anyway, I was checking her to make sure that everything was fine with the introductions to go ahead and introduce her, and I haven't really been handling her much just because she's not really the biggest fan of it and I really didn't want to stress her any more than she's already been stressed. So I was checking underneath her, which you don't always often do with mice. You don't always hold them at a weird angle and look underneath, but she had a really pea-sized tumour next to one of her legs, which I don't know if I didn't notice that. I was looking back on clips of her that I took on the first day and I don't think it was there, so this has developed very, very quickly, and a pea-sized tumour doesn't sound very much in terms of us or in terms of rats, but for a mouse that is pretty big. So I'm just really disappointed for her. I wanted to have a really nice retirement with loads of treats and company from the other mice. She has been getting a lot of food and treats since this discovery, but I just wanted to give her a nice retirement, and that is unfortunately going to be cut short due to the tumour. The actual tumour itself isn't what's going to cause her death. It's when these tumours kind of rupture and cause infection, which is incredibly painful for them. You want to try to avoid it getting to that point. So it is going to limit how much time she has with us, and the tumour was pea-sized about a week ago, and it's been about a week since I found it, and it's doubled in size since then, so it's a pretty aggressive, fast-growing tumour that's, I think, a mammary tumour due to the location, and those are not fun with mice, so the prognosis is not good. I'm disappointed that I couldn't give her the best life possible for longer, but this is the reality of owning mice. These things happen, and I'm just gonna wait and call it. I have contacted her previous owner and she's happy for me to make that decision when it's time to not let her suffer anymore. So that is the prognosis with Winnie, not the direction I thought her life would go this quick or the direction I thought this video would go, but hopefully you guys understand that this is the sad reality and I'm just documenting it. Also, because I know I will get questions and comments about this, which is fine, you can ask as many questions as you want, but when it comes to tumour removal in rats and mice, rats are a bit less complex than mice just because they are a lot bigger. Removing tumours in mice is incredibly complex just because, especially the location of a mammary tumour, it's close to like her ovaries, her uterus, all of those things can kind of be connected, and it can just be really tricky to remove, and the aftercare of that can be really difficult. I've seen mice that have unfortunately chewed their legs off or chewed the wounds, and it can be really, really harsh on a mouse to go through that, especially a 2-year-old mouse. So it's not something I'm considering, especially with her breathing not being the best. I just don't think that's the best option for her. And with mammary tumours and tumours in general, usually with mice, once they're big enough to notice, they've pretty much spread around the rest of the body. So at this point it is just going to be monitoring this until it gets too much and then not letting her suffer anymore. And that does seem to be the general consensus in the mouse community, in that you just kind of leave them to it, especially if they are over a year old. They're not young, they're not going to have much more life left ahead of them if you did remove it, and they do unfortunately come back quite easily. So there seems to be the general consensus with mouse people that tumours, especially in older mice, are best left alone until it gets too much, until it affects their mobility, and preferably before it ruptures or anything like that, to put them to sleep. So that seems to be the general consensus. It's not just me saying this, it's a lot of mouse owners also making that very tricky decision. But that's not to say you can't remove a tumour in a mouse. If you want to try that, that's definitely up to you and that's your decision. But for Winnie, I don't think it's the best option, considering her age, her health condition, and the position of the tumour itself. So yeah, not good, Winnie, is it? But we'll spoil you until then. Promise. You want some treats? Do you want a chocolate drop? Yeah, let's get you a chocolate drop. Is that yummy? She's actually a really big mouse. I was really surprised by the size of her. I think she is related to Pearl in some way. I think they come from the same lines, but she is massive. She's a very big fancy mouse, aren't you? Where's your chocolate drop? I just realised I never explained the whole introduction situation, so as soon as I discovered that she had a tumour and that her health wasn't the best, I kind of made that call that a big group introduction was not going to be in her best interest. Just because she is so old and frail, I didn't want to stress her any more than I had to, so I kind of already had in my mind that I wanted to pair her up with one of the other mice that wasn't going to be causing her a lot of stress. And around this time, Fleet, my neutered male mouse, started to act up. I noticed pretty much the same day as soon as I noticed she had a tumour, I was sat in this room watching them, and he was chasing the other girls, which most of them can put up with this. They can put him back in his place, which is good, but he started to chase Pearl. And obviously Pearl is very, very old. She's over 2 years old. She's very frail. She's not very steady on her feet. And he started to chase her and he caught her and he was just attacking her. She couldn't escape. She couldn't turn herself back the right way up. So I was just not going to watch him attack her and make her life hell in the last couple of days, weeks or months. So as soon as I saw that, I took her out and I decided to have Winnie and Pearl living together in a little retirement old lady house, together away from the stress of younger mice that can chase them and stress them out. The introductions obviously can still be stressful. They've not known each other, they've not met each other before. There is still an element of stress involved in that, but less so than introducing all of the mice or introducing younger mice that can cause an issue. So it kind of worked out well that Winnie didn't have to go in with the group and be stressed by that, and also Pearl couldn't keep living in there with Fleet attacking her, so that kind of worked out good in the process. Obviously having two very old, frail mice is quite sad, but they are living together, currently in an introduction cage, but I will be upgrading them to a slightly bigger cage they can live out the rest of their days in. I feel like with her age, she is over 2 years old, well over 2 years old. I think she is 2 years and 2 or 3 months. Her days are also limited, so we're just keeping an eye on both of them, and I don't unfortunately think they'll both be around for much longer, but that is the situation with the mice. Not ideal that Fleet is being a bit of a nightmare, but now he's not attacking any elderly mice, which is the main thing. To be honest, I think what happened is possibly Fleet sensed there was a change in the hierarchy. Pearl was previously the alpha. She was, even up until she was quite frail and old, she was putting the other mice in their place. She's not really been doing that. Obviously she's been sleeping more and just not really interacting with them, so maybe he sensed the shift in the hierarchy and wanted to become the alpha, or maybe he sensed something was going on internally wrong with her and he wanted to kind of take things into his own hands. I'm not too sure, but ever since taking Pearl out, he's not been attacking the other girls either, so I think that was probably what had happened. He just wanted to be the top dog and pick on the very frail old mouse. So luckily she's not in that situation anymore. I did have to make the quick decision to put her in with Winnie, which maybe you disagree with, but that was the best decision I could come up with at the time. But they've been doing really good together. I don't have too much footage of them. They have been sharing nice wet food meals, which is really high in calories, and they've just been sleeping together like two cute little old ladies, so they're really happy, it seems, together in their little retirement cage, which is good. Hiya, would it be possible to bring one of my mice in to be put to sleep as soon as possible, please? I guess that'll have to do. I just came in a minute ago to check on them and her eyes like popping out. Thank you. Thanks. Bye. I probably shouldn't even be filming right now. I don't know how much of that you just heard, but I just had to call the vets and book Pearl in to be put to sleep. I won't go into too much detail, but I just came in here to check on them, and we're on about week 2, 3 of having Winnie, I think, which is what this whole video is supposed to be about. And I just came in here and I checked on them, and I thought Pearl had some of Winnie's fur on her eye, which I thought was strange, so I reached in to like look at her and move it, and then I realised that her whole eye has popped out. So here I was expecting her to be put to sleep pretty soon because of like her stomach area having some sort of internal tumour, but there must have been something else going on. Maybe like a brain tumour or something going on behind the eyes that's caused this to happen. So yeah, I called the vets, and it is currently 2:30 in the afternoon, and I asked them, please can I just bring my mouse in right now, like ASAP. I think they are an emergency vets as well, like I don't care how much I have to pay, and she's like, no, we don't have any appointments until 6 o'clock. And like the worst thing is I can't even look at her, like she looks so awful, like she doesn't even look like herself, and I can't even say goodbye because I can't like bring myself to look at her because it just makes me feel so sick. Anyway, I'm trying to pull myself together because this is not helping anyone, but I don't know if it's the right decision. They always say a week too soon is better than a week too late, but I don't want Winnie being left by herself again if it's only just to be put to sleep next week. I don't want her tumour to rupture, so I've asked if I can bring her as well. I don't know if they are going to put her to sleep, but I've just taken some nice pictures of her just in case I can send to her previous owner and I can have. But obviously I can't take any pictures of Pearl, so I don't know. I feel like I'm going to have both of them put down at the same time. It's such a hard decision to make, but so yeah, that's where we're at. This is not the happy video that I expect it to be. I was expecting it to be like, oh, I've given this elderly mouse the new lease of life, and here I am sat in my dressing gown crying. And to make things worse, they always say bad things happen in threes. I cleaned the mice out yesterday, did a big like deep clean on them. And Clove, I don't handle her that often just because she hates it. She really hates being handled. And when you handle mice anyway, you don't really always look at them from like a specific angle. And I was sat exactly here watching her go through a tunnel, and I just happened to catch sight of a lump kind of like on her front, and I was just, please, not another one, not right now. So I caught her, which is a very difficult thing to do. And I checked her over, and she also has a mammary tumour kind of on her, is it left or right? One of her armpits has got, again, a sizable tumour, so I don't know. But she's not even 2 years old, she's only 1 year and 8 months old. So she's not even made it to her second birthday yet, which she's done pretty good. The other 2 mice I got from the same breeder, which were from different lines, they were different varieties, but both of them died from suspected lymphoma right after their first birthday, so she's done well to live this long, but not as long as I would have hoped. But this is the joy of owning rodents. Everything happens at once, and it is just a mental nightmare. So yeah, I don't even know what I'm apologising for anymore. I'm sorry that you're watching this. Maybe I shouldn't be filming this. Maybe it will open your eyes up to the reality of owning mice. Like, they do get tumours and things like this very, very frequently, and you have to not let it get to the point where they rupture or they can't move. You have to kind of do things before it gets to that point. It's not fair to leave them. So obviously I'm not going to leave Clove to get to that point either, but I don't even know what to say anymore. This video is just a mess. I'm going to go and cry now. I just realised this video is probably going up on my birthday as well. Happy birthday to me, I guess.